Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that this guy follows. If you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. We've got the word discount for the coupon code. That's in the description link below. And we have a question and answer session coming up on Saturday, 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So let's dive in here, see what's going on today, and I can give you my financial opinions. So we've got the DXY. Again, it's a relative strength indicator. Again, this is not an absolute strength. It's only relative to other currencies, which makes it pretty deceiving, just an FYI. But we're up today on this DXY, and yields were mixed today. So we're up on the relative strength indicator. 2-year yield continuing to fall. We broke out here, retested, fall. And today we're up a little bit, but the momentum is still to the downside. So we'll see if that can turn that momentum here in the short term, or if that momentum is going to carry us further to the downside. The 10-year yield continues to fall, down 1.15%, and it looks like we could have a little more room to the downside for the 10-year yield. Bigger picture view, we could even fall all the way back down here, 3.5%-ish area. The 30-year yield also falling with vengeance, down 1.8%, and we'll see if that will continue or not. With yields falling on the long end of the curve, it could be pricing other assets a little bit higher, like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, in the short term. If it's caused or due to a slowdown in the market, which we do have indicators saying that we are slowing down, then we would see the whole curve fall, 2-year, 10-year, all that stuff. But right now, we're seeing the long end of the curve fall and the short end of the curve remain quite resilient. TYX-TNX ratio is still inverted. So the long end of the curve is falling faster than the shorter end of the curve. And that inversion, when you're looking at the long end versus the shorter end, is still inverting. Bond prices going up on the 20-year. That does look like it's going to continue. Pretty good strength coming up off this bottom here for the 20-year bond price. And then the 2 and 10 is still inverting, as we had the long end fall more than the short end. The short end was up a little bit and the long end was lower, causing the curve to invert even further. Gold up a little bit, 7.3, about $7 an ounce. Back out, we are still sitting on top of everything. All our support's underneath us. So again, I think we're going to go higher. It doesn't mean that's going to happen immediately. But it looks like we're trying to turn around here and work our way back on up. Silver down a little bit. We're back to that support level. 24.27 is where we're at. And it is a little bit more of a bearish candlestick forming on the monthly. So we'll see how much downside this has left, or if we're going to start to try to turn around here. Platinum down, still above support in terms of the trend line. Maybe we're coming back to 880 or something like that. And then palladium up a little bit, and that looks like we're trying to find a bottom here at some point above resistance support. So maybe we can kind of trampoline jump a little bit, going sideways here for palladium. XAU to gold ratio down a little bit today. Again, I think this still looks good. It's very cheap. But we have not broken out of this big long-term downtrend yet. It does look good for that to continue to happen on a monthly candlestick basis. The weeklies still look good too, so we just have to be patient and wait for this to work its way on up. The CRB index down quite a bit. Oil was down quite a bit. We did break to the downside here, and you can see we had a pretty monster day, down day, 2.5% in the CRB. We could see further downside. You can see the blue fractal overlaid on it. This is what happened last bull market. Maybe we got to come back lower before heading on up, much like last bull market for commodity bull market. So that's what it looks like last one. The fractal that we are looking at is this fractal here. So that's what that blue fractal is there. And we've got potentially more downside left in this to go. CRB to S&P 500, we are heading a little bit lower here. We popped out of this kind of wedge, and we are heading a little bit lower. Maybe this is a gigantic flag pattern that I've got there. Looks like I can move it up. It's supposed to be located there. Maybe we come back down and tag the bottom of that bad boy. We've got GDX down slightly. It doesn't look too bad. Support's underneath us, but we've just been moving all over the place. GDXJ is also at support, and we'll see where that goes next. Highly, obviously depends where gold goes, but we're right there. It's a little bloody nose on the monthly, but again, we haven't closed out this monthly candlestick yet. So, and then we've got SILJ down a teeny bit. Looks good on the monthly there, but we're up against resistance, and we kind of bounced back off. Not much selling pressure here. No reversal candlesticks. Still looks good to go higher if it wants to. Crude oil selling off pretty big today. We're down to 69.35. Back to this support level. Let's see if that support holds. There could be further downside, and maybe we come back to $65-ish level. Very possible. TTF gas up 3%, and we are underneath the resistance support level. So we're going to have to bust back through all that stuff to the upside if it's going to move higher. Nat gas and Henry Hub selling off today, down 5%, and we're back to that support level. XOP, yeah, you know me, getting hit hard today, down 2.7%. Pretty strong selling pressure day. It looks like we could see further downside in the short term in XOP. That's what it looks like on the longer term. We've got support down at about 114. OIH also selling off 3.5%. Pretty strong day today. It looks like we could see further downside in the short term in OIH. The support level is about 285, 286, somewhere in that range, depending on where we hit it. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, slightly lower, but still looks good to go higher. Two small little down days next to each other with big green candlesticks like that. Anytime it looks like that, that's generally a continuation pattern, flag pattern, pennant formation, something like that. URA down a little bit today, but we're still above support. Everything still is holding together at the moment. Same with URNM holding together and URNJ holding together. They're all the same chart for the most part. TAN down a little bit. Looks like we could see a little bit of selling pressure here in the short term, bearish engulfing underneath resistance. So downside maybe. We've got COPX right against support. Still looking good, still looking all right at the current time. Yep. We've got lithium looking a little bit better today. A little bit of selling pressure with the wick at the top. So it's hanging in there above the trend line. Same with REMX, still hanging above the trend line at very cheap levels too. Very, very cheap. We've pulled back quite a bit here in a lot of different sectors. S&P 500 getting a little bit of selling pressure today. That is a bearish engulfing. That looks like it wants to head lower in the short term. So watch out below for the S&P 500. Looks like we're getting a bearish piercing, which will also indicate lower on the NASDAQ. Could this all roll over, and could we be getting into an area where everything kind of sells off? It's possible. It is possible. KRE, it's hanging in there. We do have a wick at the top. Could be a reversal candlestick. We'll watch it. Emerging markets right at resistance support. So we'll see how that plays out. XHB also getting a little bit of selling pressure. We are up 1.3% roughly, but a little bit of selling pressure. If I were to put that on a short term, it gapped up, and you can see we came back down throughout the day. That's what I mean by the selling pressure. MOO is up today, and it looks like we're squeezing into a corner there. So we'll see how that works. Maybe we get punched to the downside if everything kind of sells off in the short term. But it doesn't look bad, though. I mean, this very easily could go higher. Bullish engulfing right there. That generally is an indication of a bottoming pattern. Copper, getting some selling pressure here. Still, we're above the trend line, this big trend line going across. We're still above it. It's not broken yet, so we'll see if that breaks to the downside. Iron ore still hanging in there. I still think this is going to go up, given this big pattern here, falling wedge. And we've broken that to the upside. Aluminum getting more selling pressure. We could see this fall down to the downside for aluminum. So we're seeing a lot of selling pressure here, and yields are falling too, which is generally an indication that we could see a larger pullback potentially overall. Baltic Dry Index down 6%, but this thing's been on a tear. It still looks all right in the short term. Newcastle Coal Futures up about 5.6%. I think this is basing out. Give it some time. I think we'll work our way on up eventually. A lot of commodity charts look exactly like this one. They've got a big base here. They've broken out. And they're retesting. Urea, ammonium nitrate, palladium is the same way. Agribusiness ETFs, some of the soft commodities are like that. Bitcoin down 0.5%. It's a bloody nose though, so it still looks good to go higher. It's just a small profit-taking day. And Ethereum, the same thing, small profit-taking day, still looks good to go higher with the momentum to the upside. So overall, guys, pretty weak day today across the board. Lots of selling pressure in oil, natural gas, and we could see further downside, unfortunately, in the short term here. And, across the market looks pretty weak. It looks like we could get a pullback across the market. S&P, NASDAQ, just kind of across the board is a possibility here. Bank lending, all that stuff, it's going to have an impact on the pricing of a lot of these assets because the inflation's not pumping in the system anymore. It's slowing down. So there is that aspect of it, and we could be seeing some selling pressure here with tax loss harvesting, stuff like that going on towards the end of the year. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, and I've got a midweek update being released today on the website. So look for that coming up, and we'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.